You don't look the gifted fox. Between the Tails, Chapter 5.
I'll kill you.
Sonic yelled, slamming against the glass wall time after time. The said man only laughed, watching the failed attempts with entertainment.
Don't waste your energy. This cell was created specifically to hold you.
He explained, twirling his hand as green lightning jumped from finger to finger.
You'll watch closely as both of your friends perish together with this planet. And then I'll use you to destroy it completely.
You are crazy.
Knuckles exclaimed, punching the glass.
You think you can hold me?
Sonic yelled, blue energy jumping on his quills.
Then hold this?
With a roar, he called upon all of his energy and spun, hitting the walls at the highest speed, undisturbed. Robotnik watched with amazement as the hedgehog spun around the glass cell, banging against the walls. On all, Sonic finally skid to a stop, panting. His eyes were wide in shock.
Oh, done already.
Robotnik looked at his captives with a smirk.
And here I thought you wanted to get out.
Shut up.
The hedgehog shouted angrily. Knuckles observed the exchange in wonder, then turned his attention to the glass of his own cell. Robotnik said the cells were created to withstand Sonic's power, but what about his own? Deciding to test the theory, he took a deep breath and punched. The hit didn't do anything, but he didn't stop. He threw a punch after punch, raising the speed of the attacks as he continued. The glass shook, but held tight, and then it cracked. Whack! Both Sonic and Robotnik looked at the crack in surprise. The man looked horrified, but the hedgehog grinned.
Do it, Knux.
He encouraged. Knuckles backed away to the opposite wall, red energy jumping on his quills. His eyes turned fuchsia-colored. He took a step forward and punched. Glass shattered, flying in all directions. Knuckles stepped out, crunching his knuckles as he stared down the maniacal man.
You have something of mine?
He growled, red energy swirling.
Come and get it.
Robotnik challenged, flexing his fingers, and come he did. Sonic watched in amazement as the emerald-powered Doctor and the Echidna clashed, explosions of green and red shaking the whole airship. Electricity bolts hit the metal walls, leaving scorching marks. They went toe-to-toe, neither getting a big enough advantage to turn the scales. And then, the Doctor slipped, reaching too slow at another attack coming from the Echidna. He was punched straight in the stomach, eyes going wide. Sonic gaped, as the Master Emerald was literally punched out of the man. Robotnik fell to the ground, gasping as if he just emerged from underwater. Knuckles scooped the emerald and rolled straight at Sonic's cell, breaking it in a single hit.
For an extra boost.
He said, pushing the emerald in the hedgehog's arms.
But be careful, don't let it hurt you.
You get Tails out of here.
Sonic said, taking the stone. Knuckles nodded and ran towards the cell holding the passed-out fox. Sonic took one look at the emerald then pushed it into his chest. He instantly felt the emerald's energy fill his whole being. It was overwhelming, much stronger than he anticipated. He felt it screaming, aiming to control his whole being. He fought, clinging to his consciousness, to who he truly was. After what felt like hours, he finally noticed the energy subside and calm down. He opened his eyes and took a look at himself. His fur and quills were gold now and he was hovering above the ground. He felt power inside him that he never felt before. He looked to where Robotnik was picking himself up from the floor, a startled and confused expression on his face. Their eyes locked and Sonic frowned angrily at the man.
We have unfinished business, Robotic.
He called, his voice sounding a little bit different than usual. From the corner of his eyes he saw Knuckles' free tails, catching the fox as his spines broke.
I might have been more merciful before, when you only went after me, but you're my friend, my little brother, and for that, you'll have to pay.
And with those words, Sonic took one step and rushed towards the man.
Tails?
Knuckles lightly patted the fox's cheek.
Hey, good. Wake up.
The yellow-furred animal moaned softly and slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was unfocused and it took several moments.
Knuckles?
He asked, his voice hoarse.
Is that really you?
You're alive! That's good!
The echidna let out a relieved sigh.
Can you walk?
I have no idea.
Tails replied truthfully. Knuckles gently helped him to his feet. He stood for a second, his legs shaking, before his knees buckled. He would have fallen if the echidna wasn't there to catch him, draping his arm around his shoulders.
Sorry.
Tails apologized.
Everything's spinning.
That's all right. I got you.
Knuckles shook him off.
We'll find a way to get you out of here.
You aim for me.
The fox whispered, slowly dragging himself in the direction Knuckles was leading him.
Of course we did.
The echidna huffed.
We couldn't just leave you.
Now that's not.
Tails shook his head, trying to gather his thoughts.
Why did you come, Knuckles?
Knuckles stared at him in bewilderment. He then remembered that not so long ago they were enemies, fighting with each other. He sighed heavily.
I've been misled.
He said, not looking at the fox.
I didn't see through robotics soon enough, but I did now, and I'm on your side.
He finally looked down at the yonder.
Why, I still think you are not old enough to join this fight. You've proven yourself a skilled companion and a worthy opponent, and I respect that.
Tails looked at him through half-lidded eyes and smiled softly.
Thank you.
He whispered finally.
For coming for me.
Well, you're like a younger brother I never had.
Knuckles admitted adroitly.
I don't know why, but even though I don't know you long, I somehow care about you.
Are you going soft on me, Mr. Million Muscles?
Tails grinned and Knuckles couldn't contain a smile.
Just don't tell the hedgehog. He will never let me live it down.
He asked and heard Tails chuckle at that.
Understood.
He replied with a mocking salute. Suddenly the airship shook violently and tipped. They lost their balance and fell, Knuckles losing a grip on Tails' body. The fox hit several metal rods that must have dislocated during the fight between Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, before coming to a painful stop at the opposite wall, the echidna landing not far away.
What happened?
Knuckles stood up slowly, warmly over he was standing on the wall.
Why is the ship falling?
They must have done something to the engines.
Tails replied, standing shakily, one hand on the formerly floor-now wall.
We're Sonic.
They looked around frantically, trying to spot their friend.
There!
Knuckles called out, pointing at the gaping hole in the airship. True to his words, Sonic, now back to his blue quills and the Master Emerald stuck in the wall further away, was trying to find his balance while not falling out of the ship. Somewhere to his left, Robotnik was already standing up and making his way towards the unbalanced hedgehog.
Sonic!
They both cried out, catching their friend's attention. Which was exactly at the same moment when the man finally reached his goal.
You insolent freak of nature!
He growled, reaching forward and grabbing the hedgehog and hanging him over the hole.
You messed up my plans for the last time.
Sonic frantically tried to loosen the grip the man had on his body. Robotnik cackled crazily and shook him, the hedgehog's feet dangling in the air.
I don't want to die.
Was the thought that rushed through his mind as he stared at the madman, hoping for some kind of miracle. And a miracle happened. Just as Robotnik was about to let him go, something, or someone barreled into the man. Sonic blinked his tails, with the last bit of strength, pushed the doctor from the side, making him lose the hold on the hedgehog. Sonic fell to the metal, eyes wide as Robotnik fell through the same hole he was hanging him just a moment ago, his screams dying in the rush of wind. He was just about to thank his friend, when
Tails?
Sonic cried as he jumped after the fox. He reached out, their fingers brushed. He pushed himself even further, almost there. He almost got him. He caught him. In the last second, he managed to grab Tails' wrist. The fox was now dangling from the airship, held only by Sonic's hand.
Hold on, Tails.
He called, grunting as he tried to pull them both up. His feet, secured in the ship, slipped slightly and he fought to find the footing again.
Hold on. I'm going to figure something out. Just hold on.
He looked around frantically, trying to come up with a way to get back to the ship. He felt Tails' hand slipping away and he gripped it tighter, desperate to not let go. Just then, powerful arms caught him in the middle and they both were hauled back inside.
Hold on tight.
Knuckles ordered as he took a step back and jumped through the hole, Sonic and Tails still in his arms. They fell down, the leaves and branches slowing their descent. With a gasp, they finally met the ground. They lay there, gasping, as they heard an explosion from behind. The airship burst into flames upon impact, quite ironically, landing in the middle of the crater Robotnik created.
Are we alive?
Sonic asked, panting as he stared at the blue sky above.
Looks like it.
Knuckles confirmed with a shake in his voice.
Tails?
Sonic remembered the fox and sat up, looking around frantically. He was laying on the grass nearby, eyes closed and chest unmoving.
Tails?
The hedgehog scrambled to his feet and rushed to his side, sliding to his knees by his body.
Tails, wake up, buddy.
But Tails didn't wake up, he didn't stir, and his chest still didn't move.
No.
Sonic cried as he shook him gently. His voice broke somewhere in the middle and tears appeared in his eyes.
Sonic is...
Knuckles started but was cut off harshly.
Don't say it.
The hedgehog yelled, tears falling from his eyes.
Don't you dare say it. He's not.
And then Sonic broke down. To be concluded.